Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to another Shelf of Many Things review, where I take a look at indie and small press RPG products. This time I'm taking a look at another offering from Stellagama Publishing, Solar Sagas. Solar Sagas is a retro-inspired sci-fi setting for Quantum Engine, specifically things like Quantum Starfarer and the like, with a sort of atomic age / mid-20th century sci-fi styling. Written by Robert Garita and published, as mentioned, by Stellagama, who were kind enough to send me a review copy, Solar Sagas is a compact setting guide for a compact RPG system with a small form factor that suits the stripped-down versions of the rules it is geared towards. It is available in both print and PDF. This review will be based on the softcover print version and will probably be relatively short, considering how brief the material is. But before we get into it, I'd like to take a moment to thank channel sponsor World Anvil. World Anvil is a set of world-building tools for gamers and authors alike, allowing you to detail your world through articles on characters, lore, locations, and so on, link them with interactive maps and timelines using the Chronicle system, compose organizational charts for groups and factions, and more. It comes with out-of-the-box support for over 45 role-playing systems, including homebrew support to make it easy to organize, track, and share your world details with your players. And all of the same techniques used to flesh out worlds for gaming can be used by authors and other creatives, who can build out their plots and story events and even monetize their world by offering exclusive access to articles and stories that they write. World Anvil has a few pricing tiers suited for different needs, and you can get 40% off of any yearly subscription by using coupon code RPGCrawler when you sign up with my link. As always, I'll go over the presentation first, then do a summary / flip through of the contents and give my thoughts on the product at the end. As mentioned, Solar Sagas is a small form factor, clocking in at about 146 pages with a full color cover and black and white interior. It is done in a single column digest style format with interspersed black and white illustrations here and there and important information set aside in box text. There are only a few tables, but they follow a pretty standard, clean format. I will say that while section headings are bolded and in a different font, they don't really stand out a huge amount compared to other material that I've reviewed before. As a setting book, the bulk of the material is simply information on various parts of the setting. It starts with an introduction and then goes over a general setting overview. Each planet and major body is gone into, with Earth, then Luna detailed first, and then Mars, Mercury, and Venus, Ceres, the Belt, Jupiter, Ganymede, Callisto, Europa, and Io in turn. Other corners of the system are detailed in their own section, followed by stats for non-humans, information on robots, and a general bestiary. Retro Rockets covers the basic space travel system in Solar Sagas, since it differs from the basic Cepheus style of space travel, and then there's a chapter of useful charts that wraps up the book. In more detail, the introduction goes into the basic background of the setting and its history, inspired by Golden Age sci-fi. It assumes an alternate history wherein fusion power was discovered and mastered after World War II, which resulted in advancements in rocketry and the formation of a world government. Then the planets beside Earth were found to be inhabited and for the most part at least partially able to sustain life, albeit with some showing extreme environments. In the years since, humanity has come to take on the role of traders and diplomats between some far-flung species. The introduction then gives a basic background on the author and the Stellagama Publishing in general. The setting overview then goes into some of the basic ideas of the setting, and although it does go into some details, it more organizes some general elements by theme. You have this theme of old versus new, which covers humans' general stance with the older civilizations, the unknown, which hints at how unexplored those planets really are, telemorphism, which gives a reason why so many other species look vaguely humanoid, characters does some minor modifications to the characters generated for use with this setting, technology gives some vague guidelines on the level of tech generally acceptable, and then planets and environments touches on the fact that the planets are presented in Solar Sagas are much less realistically barren than they are in reality. At least most are partly habitable and often have their own kind of ecosystems. This section concludes with a general stat block format with which the NPCs in the following sections are detailed, with each having a name and a title, a general experience rank, information on their resources, their in-game stats, a quick elevator pitch on what the NPC is like, a fleshed-out profile on publicly available information and their goals and their means to accomplish such goals, and what they offer as a patron and then as an antagonist. The bulk of the book that follows then covers each planet and its inhabitants in turn. While each of these is slightly different, generally each covers lore on the planet and its species divided by common knowledge, inside information, and then privileged information based on how hard that information is to acquire. Various factions and rumors may be covered, and particularly useful information or trivia may be featured in a sidebar. Each section then also has a list of NPCs with information given according to the format that I just covered. Now, I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail, but I will summarize each planet in turn. Earth is, of course, Earth, home to humans. In this setting, fusion was discovered, the moon was discovered to be inhabited and hostile, and a world government was formed to prevent wars. There's a sort of rogue neutral government currently on Antarctica, and rocket racing is one of the prime sports. A sidebar details breathing masks that can be used by different species to survive on different planets. The NPC lists include a senator, a rocket racer, a turncoat selenite, which is what the moon people are called, a researcher, the leader of the Antarctic settlement, and a rogue leader. Luna, or the moon, is next and covers information on the Selenites, its inhabitants. They are hostile and insular, not wanting anyone to land on the moon or even approach it, using their psionics to defend lunar space. NPCs include a researcher, another rocket racer, a captain of the Earth Patrol, which is generally what keeps humans out of trouble in this one, the lead Selenite scientist, and a regressed Selenite outcast. Mars is depicted as cold and dry, but largely inhabitable if an inhospitable place. The Martians themselves are split between those who live inside the cities, ruled by an authoritarian bureaucracy, and those outside the cities who are kept in line with psi dampeners. A notable piece of tech the Martians have are their disintegrators, which kind of remind me of Marvin the Martian's weapon from Looney Tunes, to be honest. Important NPCs include your average bureaucrat who has suddenly realized that they have effective control over the entire city simply because they can control what the nominal leader actually receives, a Martian guide, a Martian nomad chief, a merchant prince, and a Martian exile. Next in line is Mercury, which is scorching but not instantly vaporizing. It's inhabited by two species, a light and fey-like group of humanoids with pixie-style wings and a set of underground insect people. Prominent NPCs include the Fey Prince, a raider chief, a liaison for the mining company, a cyborg union organizer, and an insectoid laborer. Venus is shown to be a hot jungle planet with a large number of natural resources. The main Venusians are human-sized, but with an extra set of arms and compound eyes, and are a kind of Stone Age-era civilization. There are other intelligent species on Venus besides, just simply because it is a large, lush planet. The NPC list includes a local trading post manager, a manticore shaman, and a con artist archaeologist. Ceres is shown to be a heavily mined asteroid with a subsurface salt ocean. Run by a mix of pirates, mining corporations, and local thugs, it seems that the subsurface ocean harbors an alien intelligence which is being kept under wraps by the inhabitants. Important NPCs include a pirate captain, a member of the local life support guild, which are effectively a group of thugs, a miner who has seen things, and then one of the things that he has seen. The belt presents the rest of the asteroids, and it's more just a series of tables to generate asteroids and their inhabitants and details. Jupiter is portrayed as an inhospitable planet, but one with a fundamentally survivable atmosphere provided you can land on it. However, very few have landed upon it. Local NPCs include a smuggler and a miner, a Martian spy, and a salvage ship operator. More importantly, it serves as the hub of the Jovian system of moons, which are inhabited by at least two different species. Ganymede is the first inhabited one upon which of course, Ganymedans live. They're an advanced and ancient species. They use a sort of anti-gravity technology for their ships and have these atomic swords called disc blades. Local NPCs include a peace broker from Earth, although he's not terribly effective, a scavenger, a doctor, and a rocket racer promoter trying to expand rocket racing out to Jupiter. The Callistans on Callisto are a sort of bear people. They were more given their technology by the older Ganymedans, and have between Callisto and Ganymede, there's this ancient ship graveyard, some of which predate both civilizations. Prominent NPCs include a trader, a scavenger, a doctor, and a rocket racer promoter. Europa is inhabited by a nigh-immortal crab-like species, which are not yet spacefaring. It's portrayed as a frozen ocean planet, home to various research stations who are trying to figure out how the Europans live so long. NPCs listed are a local crab chieftain and a researcher, as well as an escaped test subject who has been mutated by the research station by trying to combine them with crabs. The last major one that gets its own entry is Io, who is it's kind of like a more lethal volcanic moon, mostly inhabited by miners and pirates. Local NPCs include a businesswoman, a roboticist, and a rocket racing scout. Oddly enough, the other corner section is devoted mostly to a supposed planet X called Vulcan. It's a theorized planet orbiting inside Mercury's orbit. Largely toasty, it serves as a base for pirates and includes a few pirates, scavengers, and a stranded Earth Patrol officer among the major NPCs. The non-human section covers the various non-human species that can be played as characters. These include basic descriptions as well as special rules. The Vulcanoids have trouble operating in cold environments. The Mercurian insectoids have natural armor. The Mercurian Fae can fly. The Venusian reptilians require breathing masks on other worlds. The Selenites are innately psionic. Earth cyborgs get a damage bonus in melee. Martians require breathing masks in thick atmospheres. Ganymedans have electrical discharges. And then Callistans are basically bear people, large and strong. After this, the book breaks down into more crunchy rules. There's a section on environments and different temperatures and how different species react to different atmospheres. Then there's a section on robots that gives a list of different robot types with parts that make them up. The bestiary section gives a number of different generic NPCs, along with a brief description and a list of combat and skills necessary, each one getting just a few lines. There's a section of the bestiary for NPCs, and then a section for various beasts and animals. The section on retro rockets is not only one of the more crunchy and fleshed out parts of the book, but also one of the more setting-defining ones. Although designed for the Cepheus-derived Quantum Starfarer system, the use of rocket ships rather than the advanced FTL-style ships makes for a different sort of ship and space travel system. So there's guides on different rocket ship hulls, how to calculate payloads and engines, lists of travel times between different parts of the solar system, as well as how to calculate speed. After some information on how each hull performs, there's a list of various augmentations that can be added to a ship. The rules go into calculating fuel necessary, information on secondary equipment costs, and tonnage, and then there's some examples, secondary craft and vehicles that can be carried along. After the ship and vehicle-focused stuff, there's a list of inventions that might make an appearance but are to be considered rare. Then some highly optional, incredibly advanced technology that can be used mostly as story elements. A section on finances follows, detailing how you forge ships, cost to refill and handle other expenses, ways to make money with trade and carrying passengers and cargo, and a rule of thumb on calculating repairs. There's optional rules for dealing with smaller landing craft and shuttlecraft, followed by some examples on detailing all of the above. The combat section has a few adaptations from the core Quantum Starfarer rules, including splitting fire between targets and combining fire, as well as handling damage results. There's a guideline on using hero points to affect ship-to-ship combat as well. After this, there's some hazard information, telling of the dangers one can come into in space, and then a list of ship types. And then the book just wraps up with some gathered useful charts. So, what do I think about Solar Sagas? In terms of presentation, the writing is solid enough. I saw no real technical errors, and things were easy enough to understand. I do find the editing a little bit hard to get into. There's some certain instances where I believe I would have liked to have seen some more descriptions elaborated upon beforehand, and the whole project could have benefited from a little bit more introductory material and reorganization. All in all, it is serviceable. It just seems a little bit rushed in parts. As far as the setting idea, I do enjoy it. As people who have watched me know, I am not a huge fan of sci-fi based material, but retro sci-fi does have a sort of goofiness to it that I find amusing. I do find that Solar Sagas walks a kind of curious line between trying to be serious and coming off as a little bit silly that is actually very fitting with the early 20th century era of its genre. The quirkiness of the setting amuses me greatly. Everything from the slightly cartoonish Martian disintegrators to the Wookiee-like Callistians to the existence of a rocket racing league makes for a very fun feel for the setting. I especially like that a random Martian bureaucrat is effectively his city's actual controller just due to being in control of the paperwork. I like the attention to detail on making the rocket-powered spaceships feel distinct from standard sci-fi material as well. While I understand that you aren't going to be able to deal with realistic rockets in a tabletop game format, at least the attempt was made, and it does much to set the stage for single-system adventuring. The audience for this sort of setting is necessarily going to be a little bit limited. I think it is for those who are interested in the sort of retro sci-fi. It does a good job for the price. I would recommend it for those people, although it may not appeal to those who are looking for a more hard sci-fi feel. And with that said, I'm going to wrap it up here. This has been the RPG Crawler with my review of Solar Sagas, such as it is and a little bit overdue. As always, I'll put a link to where you can pick it up below. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment on your feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content. Until next time, take care and goodbye. And if you are still watching, I would like to take the opportunity to thank my supporters, the top tiers of which are listed on the screen, without whose support I would not have been able to offer the variety of content that I have on this channel throughout the years. If you're feeling particularly generous and would like to join them, you can support the channel. There are a variety of options to do so. I have a Patreon, a Subscribestar, as well as channel memberships enabled. If you are not in a position to contribute, simply leaving a like, a comment, or sharing my videos are all wonderful ways to help the channel grow without spending a dime, and are all greatly appreciated.